A disabled grandfather was fired by Asda for circulating a clip from a Billy Connolly concert in which the comedian attacked religion. No one objected to his remarks about Catholicism, but because Connolly joked about suicide bombers, the clip was deemed Islamophobic. An ex-policeman received a visit from the police after posting a humorous verse about transgendered people on Twitter. Apparently, he was guilty of committing a non-crime hate incident. The officer who questioned him said, "I'm here to check your thinking." A pro-Brexit academic was suspended by King's College London for calling an anti-Brexit activist a traitor. A Christian actress was fired from the lead role in a West End production of The Colour Purple after another actress dug up a 4-year-old Facebook post in which she'd expressed her disapproval of homosexuality. Dr. Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychology professor, was asked to give a series of lectures by Cambridge University, these buildings behind me, but that invitation was rescinded when a photograph emerged of him standing next to a fan wearing a "Proud Islamophobe" t-shirt. All these things happened in 2019 in a country which prides itself on its commitment to human rights, including the right to free speech. And these aren't isolated incidents. Over the past 5 years, 87,000 non-crime hate incidents have been recorded by 27 forces in England and Wales. That means our men and women in blue are investigating an average of 47 such incidents a day. Shouldn't they be policing our streets, not our tweets? Most people who voted Leave in the EU referendum will have felt the need to lower their voices when airing their views in public. According to a recent report for the think tank Policy Exchange, 60% of university students who supported Brexit were uncomfortable voicing their opinion in front of their classmates. Quite sensibly, it turns out. A Warwick University student was branded a racist when he put a Vote Leave poster up on campus. And it isn't just your political views that can get you into trouble. The chief executive of the Chartered Management Institute wants to stop people talking about football at work. You heard that right. Apparently, discussing last night's game can be a, quote, gateway to more laddish behaviour, unquote. She told the Radio 4 Today programme, "It's very easy for it to escalate from VAR chat to slapping each other on the back and talking about their conquests at the weekend." I could go on. 75 years ago, servicemen and women from across the Anglosphere put their lives on the line to defend freedom and democracy, including the right to express your views and opinions in a public square, however unorthodox, without fear of punishment. Today, scarcely a week passes without another attack being launched on free speech. That's why I've set up the Free Speech Union, a mass membership organisation that stands up for the speech rights of its members. If someone at work writes to your boss to complain about something you've said, we'll write to them too and remind them of the importance of intellectual tolerance and viewpoint diversity. If a bunch of self-righteous bullies pick on you, we'll pick on them. If someone launches an online petition calling for you to be sacked, we'll launch a counter-petition. One of the benefits of full membership will be access to legal assistance. If we think you've got good grounds for a lawsuit, we'll help you fight it. And if it looks as though it's going to be expensive, we'll help you crowdfund. The enemies of free speech hunt in packs. Its defenders need to band together too. Whatever it takes, we'll defend your right to speak freely without fear of being punished. Why do I care so passionately about this issue? Because in January 2018, I was targeted by a group of hashtag activists on social media following my appointment to the board of a new higher education regulator by Theresa May. It wasn't a paid job, but it was a public position, one the Prime Minister thought I was suited for because, in addition to being a journalist for over 30 years, I've helped set up 4 free schools and worked for a number of education charities. As a Brexit-supporting, middle-aged, conservative, white heterosexual male, I wasn't exactly a popular choice with the university sector, and the offence archaeologists quickly went to work, sifting through everything I'd ever written or said, dating back to 1987. They were looking for evidence that I was unfit for public office. and it didn't take them long to find it. For instance, I'd written an article for The Spectator in 2001 praising a TV show on an obscure satellite channel called Men and Motors because it featured topless girls draping themselves over fast cars. The sub-editor of the magazine was a friend of mine, and as a joke, he gave it the headline, "Confessions of a Porn Addict." I thought it was funny too, until it came back to bite me in the bum 17 years later. An online metal detectorist found it in The Spectator's digital archive, stuck a screen grab on Twitter, and within minutes London's main evening paper turned it into a news story. The headline ran, "New pressure on Theresa May to sack porn addict Toby Young from watchdog role." There was more, mostly stupid things I'd said on social media late at night after several glasses of wine. 7 days after the appointment was announced, my suitability for the job had been debated in Parliament. An online petition calling for my sacking had attracted over 220,000 signatures, and a Guardian journalist was permanently stationed at the end of my driveway. I would have brought him a cup of tea, but I'd run out of almond milk. I resigned from the board of the regulator and apologised for my sophomoric scribblings, imagining that would draw a line under the affair. Some hope. That was like throwing a hunk of raw meat to a shoal of piranha fish. I had to stand down from the board of the free school chain I'd helped set up, resign as a Fulbright commissioner, abandon my fellowship at Buckingham University, and give up my full-time job as the head of an education charity. Almost overnight, I lost 5 positions. Publicly shamed, cast out, cancelled by a digital outrage mob. 2 years later, I've decided to help others who find themselves in the same boat. But I hope the Free Speech Union won't just attract male, pale and stale conservatives like me. If you think you're safe because you're a woman or a member of the progressive left, think again. The list of people who've been no-platformed, prevented from speaking in public by self-appointed morality cops who spend their lives frantically searching for things to be offended by, includes the radical feminist Julie Bindel, the Woman's Hour presenter Jenny Murray, and Germaine Greer, author of The Female Eunuch. Even the gay rights campaigner Peter Tatchell has been targeted by the thought police. He was no-platformed by a group of students at Canterbury Christchurch University because he signed a letter to a newspaper opposing the policy of no-platforming. No one is safe from these witch-finder generals, which is why mavericks and dissenters of all stripes will be welcome in the Free Speech Union. As a wise man once said, "I may disagree profoundly with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." It doesn't matter if somebody somewhere finds it offensive. No one has the right not to be offended. As George Orwell said, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. Believe it or not, that quote is inscribed on Orwell's statue outside the headquarters of the BBC, the same BBC that fired Danny Baker for making an inappropriate joke about a royal baby at the behest of a Twitchfork mob. It's time to end this digital McCarthyism. Free speech isn't some luxury we can afford to live without. It's the foundational freedom on which all the others depend. Human beings can't flourish outside a free society, which means they can't flourish in the absence of free speech. Free speech is how knowledge is developed and shared at great universities like this one, or should be anyway, with theories about the nature of reality constantly being tested and refined in open inquiry and discussion. Robust debate, appealing to reason and evidence, not the prevailing orthodoxy, is the best way to resolve disagreements about the most important questions facing mankind without descending to violence or intimidation. And free speech is the most effective bulwark against the abuse of power by our would-be masters, with history demonstrating again and again that an assault on people's right to air their views in the public square is an ominous precursor to the removal of other freedoms. We can't continue to appease the enemies of free speech. As Churchill said, an appeaser is someone who keeps feeding the crocodile in the hope that it will eat him last. Many good men and women died fighting for our right to speak our minds and exchange ideas without being persecuted by the enforcers of intellectual conformity and moral dogma. This is our precious inheritance, and we owe it to them, as well as our children, to come to its defence. Join me in the Free Speech Union, and together we can defeat the authoritarianism and intolerance that is once again threatening to destroy our liberty.